lovelies. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited for this conversation. This is going to be an incredible conversation. I'm not going to lie. Per usual, before I get on here, I like to get intentional about what it is that I'm going to chat about. And so I was doing some journaling around what I would talk about today. And holy crap. This is a big one. This is huge. If you get nothing else from me ever, this will be a game changer. And so let me just preface this. I don't know that I can preface it. I think we're just going to dive into it. So sitting here journaling, and I pulled out my journal as I typically do before I sit down with you all, and just opened the page, and the first word that came to mind was intention. And this has been ringing around in my head for several weeks now. I feel like it's just been coming up a lot. And so I wrote down the word intention, and I'm just going to share where my thought went once I wrote it down. And so I wrote down intention, and I was like, okay, hey, you want to make an impact? Be intentional. More money? Be intentional. More connection? Be intentional. And so what I did in my true fashion as a nerd is I looked up the definitions of the word intention, and what was coming to mind after I thought about that was what would necessarily be kind of like the opposite of intention. And the word that is actually an opposite of intention is accident. And as I wrote down the word accident, I heard spirit speak to me and say, you are not here by accident. And so I had to look up and see what accident was. An accident is an unforeseen event that is not a result of intention. So I'm just going to start with the fact that we are not here in this lifetime, in this moment, in this place at this very moment on accident. We are here intentionally. We are created intentionally. We are given a purpose intentionally. It is not a happy accident. It is not something that just seemed to make sense at the right time, right? Like, I believe in evolution, but not in that kind of evolution, if that makes sense. I believe we can evolve as we move through our lives, but I don't believe necessarily in the fact that we came from apes, right? Like, that feels accidental. Maybe it was intentional. I don't know, right? But the fact here is that we are here intentionally. And intention is having the mind, attention, or will concentrated on something or some end or purpose. And what I also thought of why I was journaling about this is, if you have ever seen the movie Hitch, Hitch is one of my favorite movies with Will Smith. And there's a scene in the movie after he has his allergic reaction and he wakes up in the girl's apartment. He's a morning person. He goes out, comes back with coffee, and she makes a comment to him and she says, oh, you're one of those morning people. And he says, well, it's like I tell my clients, begin each day as if it were on purpose. If you're being really honest with yourself, are you beginning each day as if it's on purpose? Or does each day seem to come about as an accident? Because I can tell you what is 100% true. Accidents do not create the life that you want. Intention does. And so what does it mean to be intentional? Because I'm going to just give you this you're not alone kind of thing. Our mind wants things to be habitual. And sometimes habits turn into accidents, right? If you go into autopilot on the way to work and you don't pay attention to something new, there's an accident, right? But our mind is actually programmed to do that. It wants to create things habitually. It wants to use as little energy as possible and do the same sort of things. That's what makes our mind feel safe, and that is actually how it's wired. So being intentional is going to cause you to kind of break that mold. And it can feel incredibly exhausting and draining as you're creating these new pathways. Okay? But the power of your intention is legitimately life-changing. So if you want to change your life, if you want to create your life and do something different with it, you have to become intentional with all the things. And I remember one of my mentors, she had made a comment about how intentional she is with her day-to-day. And my immediate reaction at that time was, oh my God, that feels so exhausting to be that intentional. But when you are intentional, you actually get to make a choice. You get to choose between this one or this one. You get to choose between repeating the past or making it different. But it requires you to slow down and pay attention. So if you've listened to any of my videos before, you know that the very first thing to do is to become aware. If you want to change something, you've got to become aware of what is happening right now. What is the trigger? What is the thing? What is the habit? You've got to become aware of it, the feelings that are associated with it, the actions that follow it in order to change it. Step one is awareness, right? And what happens is typically when we seek the awareness for this, it can come from other people and it can be incredibly triggering, right? So, and I share this story a lot because it was just so pivotal in my life. I was at a place where I was completely and utterly overwhelmed as a mom of two. I was exhausted all the time. I was burnt out. I never had any time for myself. And I was running on this perpetual rat race. I was on a hamster wheel and I couldn't seem to find my way off. And what happened was on social media, I got incredibly triggered, activated, we'll use that word better. I got incredibly activated by somebody's post that was simply this. It said, if it's important to you, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. And that statement was actually life-changing for me. Yes, it irritated the shit out of me. I was so angry at that post. I wanted to flip the bird to that person. I wanted to write her a message and tell her that she had how dare she had the audacity to write something like that, because she had no right to do that because she didn't know me. And I took it so personal. But what it caused me to do was actually reflect on where my time was going and choose differently. And so this is really the power of the awareness. She made me hyper aware of where my time was going. And I was in a place where I was open to the change. So the post was perfect timing. And I got incredibly aware of where my time was going and realized, oh shoot, like I don't actually want to spend my time doing that thing. Like that's not enjoyable at all. So let me choose again, right? I had a very similar experience when my husband and I were getting control of our finances, right? Like I as many people often happens, you have no idea where your money's going. And so we got really clear on where our money was going. And then we were given the option to choose because we knew where it was going. It was no longer being spent on accident. It was being spent intentionally. And so we were intentionally paying down credit cards. We were saving. We had control of this, right? Just like I had control of my time, I had control of my money, I have control of my energy. When you get aware of it, you are then able to choose. You have the ability to be intentional, and being intentional will create the life that you want. It can, and it feels like it happens almost instantaneously. It truly does. When you slow down and you get intentional, because this is often the thing that I see that trips people up, is they go, oh, well, how long is it going to take? I can't wait that long. I don't see the results that I want yet. I'm not sure that it's working. I can't keep doing this. Da 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 da. Right? We have a litany of excuses as to why we can't be intentional and why we can't trust the process. There are so many excuses out there. But when you slow down and you get intentional, I like to say that intention is on purpose with purpose. So when I am intentional, my posts on social media are impactful. When I am having conversations with my kids and I am intentional with that conversation, they are powerful. So, prime example, the other night, yesterday, my husband and I were doing some Christmas shopping, and my kids have very extensive Christmas lists. And I appreciate it because I do want them to tell me what they want, and I make that available to them. Tell me what you want. I can't promise that I will buy all the things because there are 4 of you, but tell me what you want and we will get you something from your list. I want them to be okay with saying what it is that they want, even if we can't get it in that moment. And so my kids know this. And so some parents may be totally overwhelmed by the Christmas lists, but this is what we set ourselves up for. And so my son wanted a compound bow. I know nothing about bows, and I thought, cool, like we'll get him an entry-level bow. It'll be $100, something like that. So my husband and I are only going to be able to use it a handful of times. And to get into archery, just like the initial starting cost, you're looking at about $1,000. And my husband and I were like, like, we love you, son, but you've been talking about a bow for like 2 weeks, that this doesn't make sense. My husband's conversation was a little brash. I'm not gonna lie. And so after he basically shattered my son's Christmas dreams, I went up and I had a conversation with my son and I said, hey, can we talk about this compound bow thing? And he said, no, but I guess you want to talk about it, so let's talk about it. I said, okay, great. So we're talking, I said, listen, we would love to buy this bow for you, son. But if you know your mother and father, we will spend the extra money on something that's quality. You know that about us. Like, we're willing to invest in something that's going to last longer. It's going to be more beneficial. Like, we have no problem investing into our kids. No problem. I said, here is the issue. We just invested in custom golf clubs for you earlier this year. And you have shot a bow, what, twice, son? Like, twice, if we're being honest. You shot a bow twice, and now you want this thing, right? Like, how about we make a compromise here? Why don't we get you a gift certificate to do some archery at the local shooting range, right? You can do the archery, you can rent a bow. Why don't you do that for some time and decide that you love it before we invest $1,000 into something, right? Like, we've got to see that you love it before we invest a bunch of money into the thing, because it is an expensive upstart, right? Like, just to get started is expensive. After that, it's really not a whole lot, but the initial investment is quite a bit. And so I said, can we come to terms on this? Like, can you practice shooting? Can you decide if you love it? Can we figure out what will work for you before we go and invest all of this time and money into something? And he was like, yeah, sure. That's great. And so my intention with that conversation was to come to a compromise. Where can we meet a middle ground here? Because we know you want this thing for Christmas. Realistically, it ain't gonna happen. So where can we find a common ground here where we're both happy? You are getting some more time at doing archery. We're fulfilling the Christmas list, right? Like, where's this common ground? Let's come to there. And it was beautiful. It was great. My son handled it very well. I mean, maybe he was cussing me out in his head, but that is the conversation that we had. I was very intentional with it. And I do that on purpose because I know that when I have these intentional conversations with my kids, they are going to make an impact. Even if I don't see it immediately, I do see it over time. And I will hear it when they're talking to people, and when, you know, and when other people tell me about my kids, like, I hear it comes back to me when I have these intentional conversations. So I know that there is so much power in the intention, on purpose, with purpose. And one thing that you can do that's super easy, that would be incredibly, like, just a confidence boost, right? So I challenge you to set an intention starting tomorrow morning, right? Wake up tomorrow morning, set an intention for what your day is going to be like, and then at the end of the day, reflect on that. It can happen very quickly. You can see the incredible results from your intention almost instantaneously. So, prime example, yesterday I had the intention, I had some discovery calls yesterday, and I had the intention that I was going to enroll the people that I spoke with yesterday. That was my intention. I said, whoever I speak to today is going to sign up, right? And I spoke to 4, I had 6 calls scheduled. I spoke to 4 of them, and all 4 of them signed up. 2 of them did not show. But that was my intention. And it was like that immediate gratification. I was like, oh, yes, this is great, right? But that was my intention. I had set that intention yesterday morning that whoever I spoke to was going to enroll. And that's what happened. The power of your intention is incredible. You just have to figure out what it is. Why are you doing it? Right? And it comes back to that. I reflected on this morning when I had a million excuses as to why I didn't need to do yoga this morning. And my excuses were coming through. And the thing that came to mind was, when you feel like quitting, remember why you started. Right? And so why is this intention important to you? Why is it important to you? Right? So the intentional conversations are important. The ones that I have with my kids are important to me because I want them to have the voice. I want them to be able to have a conversation with adults and to think about things differently than maybe their peers or the things that I see on social media or whatever else, right? And so that is important to me. And the intention that I live with in my day-to-day, the reason why I do that is because of my kids. My kids are my reason for being intentional with my time, with my money, with my resources. Because when my kids come home from school, I want to spend time with them. I don't want to be sucked into social media and to be, distracted by work calls and this and that. Like, I want to be present with my kids. That's my intention. And so I start that each day. And it's incredible when you see those results because you can see them almost instantaneously. It's beautiful. It's amazing. So this one thing, if you can get intentional, or rather when, it's not an if, everybody has the power to do it. when you get intentional, you will see your life start to change before your eyes. It just will. So, I'm sending you so much love today. Oh, speaking of, let's make sure that I'm being intentional with this as well, because I did want to share about this. I did not share about it last week, but I did begin to talk about it a little bit. And so if you have seen any of my social media, you know that the program that I am currently launching is called Redefine. And this program, I mean, it's a work of art. It is an absolute work of art because it has been years and years and years of incredible information, my own life journey, from my mentors, from working with my clients. This Redefine program is about making success inevitable. And what do I mean by inevitable? Inevitable means it's going to happen no matter what, right? And so making success inevitable, intention is a huge part of that. And so this Redefine program, we are going to do pre-work prior to the new year, and we will officially kick off the first week of January. January 3rd will be our first official call for that. First module will be live. And so that will start in January, but there will be pre-work prior to that because I am one of those people that does pre-work. I like to get my house in order after Christmas, before the new year, so that I can kick the new year off in style. And so I am somebody who does the pre-work between Christmas and New Year's, so that January 1st is I just knock it right out of the park on day one. So the pre-work will begin prior to January 1st. Our first live call will be on January 3rd. Because the pre-work will be pre-recorded, yes. So the live call will be on January 3rd. And this program is a template for success. It is a tried and true methods. It is science-backed. It is research-backed. It is incredible. And I am going to help you adapt it to your life so that you can create success in your life. Not my way, but your way, because creating success your way it's a fingerprint, right? Everybody's way of creating success is going to be different. And so I'm going to teach you how to tap into your success model and how to create success in any area of your life that way. So this program is currently on early bird sale for $1,111. When it goes up in price, when we start the pre-work, which will be December 27th, is when the pre-work starts, the price will go up to $2,222. So if you do want to get into this program and you want to get it at the early bird price, please send me a message. I'll be happy to send you that link and get you all squared away for that. Again, this is the Redefine program, Making Success Inevitable. And this is going to be 11 modules, including the pre-work. So I believe there's three pre-work videos, and then there will be the 8 live calls once we kick off the new year. So I am so excited for that program. It is just a creation. It is incredible. I'm excited for it. I am like giddy to even start it for myself, because I do believe that going through these programs, every time I launch them, I do learn more about myself. I deepen, I evolve, I grow. And so this Redefine program, again, we start the pre-work on December 27th, and there will be some pre-recorded calls on the 27th. Starts the 27th. Price will go up on the 27th to $2,222. If you want to get in on it now, it is only $1,111, and this will be 11 modules total. It's probably going to span over about 3 weeks, but it's incredible conversations. It will change your life when you get into this program. It will be amazing. So if you have any questions about it, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help. And as always, be big, be bold, and be opulent. Bye, loves.